Okay, so here's the second slide about this living in the middle. It starts with up on top, it says LDS values that most of us hold. And then below where you see the green star, you can see feed the hungry. We are stewards of the earth. We have compassion for all. We have religious freedom. We believe in the traditional family, and we're against abortion with obvious exceptions. So those are LDS values that most of us, I would agree, would hold. And I would also venture to say, I'm not positive, but venture to say that most Christians would agree with all of these things. However, if you look below that, again, that's from the line that I had in my last slide. The line of compassion for all is more democratic or liberal morals, compassion for all, and the feed the hungry and stewards of the earth. And then on the other side, anti-abortion, traditional family, religious freedom are generally considered conservative morals, so more Republican. But we generally believe in all of those, and those are just 6 examples. They're not all of them. Okay. So if you can look at where it says right under LDS values, most of us hold, something I've heard a lot from when I say, well, I'm a moderate or a centrist, they say, well, you can't be, because if you're in the middle, you're lukewarm, and we're not supposed to be lukewarm. We're supposed to be hot or cold. And what I would venture to say is we should be hot or cold on values, not parties. So if you can imagine, if we're just right in the middle of those, of the green asterisk, maybe that would be like we are very in the middle. We're just kind of on the fence. But we can be very hot on feed the hungry. We can say we do need to feed the hungry. We do need to be stewards of the earth, as far towards that, all of those as possible, right? Because and if we're living in the middle, where we're a centrist or a moderate, we can be hot or cold on all of those values, rather than saying, oh, well, my party only believes in these few, and so I can't really focus on those. And then the next part under the title, it says, living this way keeps our agency to choose. So if we are willing to say, I don't really have a party, I don't really ascribe to a party, I am going to look for individuals that are good and wise and have integrity, or I am going to look at issues and be hot or cold on those issues based on my morals, based on my religious morals. It keeps our agency. Instead of saying, let's say that I was a diehard Republican, then I am anti-abortion, I'm traditional family, I'm religious freedom. But then when it comes to people saying, well, shouldn't government give free lunch to kids? Isn't that part of what a reasonable government would do? Why do we have government, right? Is to help people. Shouldn't we give to the poor? Shouldn't we be good stewards of the earth? Then if I'm a staunch Republican, I'm going to have to say, well, no, I don't believe my money should go to that, right? Because I have to live on this side. Or on the other side, if I am a staunch far left, then when it comes to issues like abortion or religious freedom, then I'm stuck. But if we live in the middle, if we're centrists or moderates, we can say, I can care about all of these things. I can take a hard stance on all of these. I can also take a hard stance on individuals who are my representatives, who people I vote for, and say they are not living up to the kind of person that I want them to be, the representative, or they're not voting the way that I want them to vote, regardless of which party they are in, right? So that's why I truly believe it's best for us to keep a centrist view, regardless. Again, if you are a Democrat, Republican, I'm a registered Republican because I live in Utah, and so I used to be independent. And I realized through talking to some people that in order to really get anything done, I needed to be registered as a Republican. So I did. People call me a rhino. I'm fine with that. Republican in name only really is what I am, because I'm more of a centrist. But so I'm not saying you can't be one or the other. If you want to be involved in politics, you need to do that. I don't think that being one or the other is evil, but I think that the further extreme we get is worse, right? I think that what our church is trying to get us to do is be more in the center so that we can focus on individuals and issues rather than just parties.